Joe Biden was asked about the upcoming midterm elections during his recent press conference. And the question was really about the legitimacy of elections, given the fact that Democrats have been pushing to pass a voting rights bill to mitigate the gerrymandering and the voter suppression that has passed in several red states, or I should say purple states. And he answered the question in a way that could have been clearer, but the media is now just completely manufacturing a soap opera around it in an effort to compare him to Donald Trump and his claims of voter fraud. Now, I'm gonna give you the full context, show you the videos, and then I'll go to the examples of honestly, like mainstream media figures really blowing this whole thing out of proportion. So first, let's give you the context about what this was all about. Asked at a news briefing if he believes the election would be fair if Congress doesn't pass voting rights legislation, Biden said that, quote, "It all depends on whether or not we're able to make the case to the American people that some of this is being set up to try to alter the outcome of the election." And of course he's gonna say that. He's allegedly currently pushing for a voting rights bill. Now, here's more of what he had to say.
Remember how we thought not that many people were going to show up to vote in the middle of a pandemic? We had the highest voter turnout in the history of the United States of America. Well, I think if in fact, no matter how hard they make it for minorities to vote, I think you're going to see them willing to stand in line and defy the attempt to keep them from being able to vote. I think you're going to see the people we're trying to keep from being able to show up, showing up and making the sacrifice that needs to be made in order to change the law back to what it should be. But it's going to be difficult. I make no bones about that. It's going to be difficult. But we're not there yet. We've not run out of options yet, and we'll see how this moves.
All right, I would venture to say that that answer sounds nothing like Donald Trump. And keep Donald Trump in mind as you watch the next video, because a reporter felt the need to ask a follow-up question. Apparently that answer wasn't clear enough, and so here's what the reporter had to ask, and here's how Biden handled it.
You were asked whether or not you believed that we would have free and fair elections in 2022 if some of these state legislatures reforms their voting protocols. You said that it depends. Do you think that they would in any way be illegitimate?
Oh yeah, I think it easily can be illegitimate. Imagine if in fact Trump has succeeded in convincing Pence to not count the votes. Imagine if.
In regards to 2022, sir, the midterm
2022. I mean, imagine if those attempts to say that the count was not legit. You have to recount it, and we're not going to count. We're going to discard the following votes. I mean, sure. I'm not saying it's going to be legit. It's the increase in the prospect of being illegitimate is a direct proportion to us not being able to get these reforms passed.
Now, Joe Biden is not a great speaker. I mean, he's stuttering, he's fumbling, mumbling, like I get it. But I think it's clear what he's trying to say. We need to pass a voting rights bill to mitigate the damage that's being done by bad actors who obviously want an undemocratic system in place that gives Republicans the upper hand. That's different from what we heard from Donald Trump leading up to the 2020 election, and certainly following the 2020 election in which he lost the presidency. But none of that matters, because here's how the corporate media has interpreted Joe Biden's answer. Let's start off with Savannah Guthrie.
Another comment the president made, he openly cast doubt on whether the 2022 midterm elections would be legitimate. He said it all depends, which is astonishing to hear a president question whether our elections will be legitimate. We've heard it before, but not from this president.
Astonishing. We've heard it before, but not from this president. But it didn't stop there. Here's CNN.
What he said was actually the entire thing, but the first part was probably the most jarring. To hear a president of the United States who is not Donald Trump even suggest ahead of time that an election isn't legitimate.
Cenk, this need to equate Biden's rhetoric to what Trump has said and done in regard to our democratic process is ridiculous. It's completely manufactured, just 100% manufactured. I don't know, am I wrong? Am I misinterpreting something?
No, they're silly people. They are desperate to prove how neutral they are. They don't even understand journalism. Journalism isn't neutrality. Well, I saw two different things. I saw one thing happen. People describe it in two different ways. What am I, a reporter? I'm not going to tell you which one's right. I'm just going to say, oh, these are two different ways that people describe it. So here they're trying to be like, oh, I am so neutral. I criticized Trump. So now I'm just making up a criticism of Joe Biden, and I'm going to call it astonishing, jarring. Okay, what are you talking about? Look, here's a show that all of today has been ripping Biden to shreds. So why are we defending Biden here? Because truth matters. He didn't say that he thinks that if we don't win the elections, I'm just gonna call them illegitimate, like Trump did, and I'm not gonna seat people, I'm gonna decertify the elections. He didn't say any of that, nor did he imply any of that. If you said, look, the guy's got age issues, because that was a bumbling answer about 2020 when that wasn't the question at all, that's a fair critique. But if you're pretending that he said that I'm not gonna certify the elections if we lose, and I'm gonna call them illegitimate, well, you're a dishonest actor. You're doing that so you can, because it's about your bona fides. Oh, everybody to come, I was so neutral to everybody. I was neutral to the truth, didn't care at all. I criticized Biden for irrelevant things. By the way, why don't you criticize Biden on relevant things?
Right.
He hasn't got anything done, but you like that, because you're also corporate media and you love the status quo. So instead you have to pick on nonsense stuff like this. Okay, so one more time. Okay, for example, what's the difference between Hillary Clinton complaining about 2016 and Donald Trump complaining about 2020? Because apparently people are slow, so you have to explain it very carefully to them. Hillary Clinton said, oh, it sucks that I lost. I think I blame it on my dog, the weather, the Russians, Wisconsin, the voters, the left, Bernie Sanders, etc. That's excuse making, it's annoying. But she didn't say, I actually won, right. Decertify the votes of the states, cheat, destroy democracy, and make me president. She didn't say any of those things. I can't stand Hillary Clinton, but she didn't. She just whined. Donald Trump said, don't certify the election, pulverize our democracy, shred it to pieces, pretend I won, lie about it. That way we'll destroy America. Oh, damn it. My corrupt politicians weren't as corrupt as I wanted them to be. Hey, everybody raid the goddamn Capitol. And while you're doing it, instead of discouraging you, I'll encourage you. And I'll have phone calls with the guys inside worried about losing their life and make fun of them and say that the rioters are more American and patriotic than they are. You can't tell that difference. You can't tell the difference between a bumbling Biden going, hey, maybe we should actually not restrict voting because that would seem anti-democratic. And Trump saying, I don't care who won, screw democracy, I just won it even though I didn't win. If you can't tell that difference, you're not a reporter. You're not a reporter.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.